Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bill's Front Porch.
Oh, by Atheismo's big glorious beard, no. It's Wild Bill for America back again. And the rocking chair, is that really the look here? Is doddering old guy the kind of vibe you are really going for, Bill? All the while you're fighting off the evils of, common sense, logic, and reason, etc.? I mean, I'm sure in your head, you thought that this would make you look chill and relaxed and not having a care in the world, but honestly, it makes you come off as, well, less reclining and more declining. And I really don't know how you can go down from the bottom of the barrel that you already are. Although, let's see how long he can actually keep the rocking up, because you just know it's a pretentious affectation more than anything else.
Today we're talking about kids and atheists.
Oh, okay. You know that they're not two mutually exclusive groups, right? Hell, some would argue that if you raised a child outside of a religious framework, they would be atheists by default because, well, obviously. And do bear in mind, that's not the same as raising them in a place where they are told about the idea and then told that it doesn't exist, but instead as just kind of one of those ideas treated neutrally. They are just going to lean towards atheism anyway. But they would, especially in a situation where they would somehow never be exposed to the idea of deities at all. I seriously doubt they are going to randomly decide that gods do the real, especially with the fact that we have explanations for things now that used to be, I'm pretty sure that the sun is made of ghosts, or some shit like that.
Children in America should be protected from atheists.
Well, that escalated quickly. Atheists are evil, dangerous, degenerates out to get your kids. And then, of course, the following look of shock when you get told to screw yourself by the group you just implicitly labelled with pretty much the worst thing a person can be, an abuser. Especially of
a child.
I would also bet that he's the kind of person who would say that and then say we should lock up or kill said type of abuser, and then act like the reaction of atheists who might think for some reason that you want them dead, as if it's an admission and not just rightfully pointing out that, no, we aren't that. Maybe don't call for our elimination, you crazy bastard. All the while somehow genuinely believing that you're the good guy and not a bit of a frickin' monster.
Atheism is an evil thing that is guaranteed to destroy children both now and in eternity.
Christianity is an evil thing that will keep children away from Svarga, a version of heaven, by not teaching them about Hinduism. Can you see how easy it is to say the same shit about your beliefs? Oh, but of course, you have the right beliefs. But have you ever noticed something about the strongest proponents of almost any faith? They are almost universally scientifically illiterate morons. Is that not very interesting? The people most convinced of their correctness, the second they tell you what they know, or more, don't know about shit we can actually demonstrate because it's not unfalsifiable nonsense, shows them to be idiots of the highest order. But I'm sure there's absolutely no causal relationship between the two.
Evil men and women are determined to drag children far away from knowledge of their creator God.
Evil men and women. Well, at least you're not sexist. Well, I wouldn't hold my breath about other things, but in this one regard, that's good. And again, evil Crims boys and Crims girls are keeping the children away from their creator, Odin, or Atum, or Itzamna, or any other of the possible creator gods. Because that's always the problem, isn't it? Of the umpteen bajillion gods that humans have invented, it's pretty wild to me to assume that you happen to be born in just the right time, and just the right place, in just the right version of your particular guy. How lucky are you? You should play the lottery every week with that kind of luck, damn. And of course, the dumbest rebuttal to that excellent point is something like, which god is real? The one you hate. And of course, the theist is a buff Chad. That is not self-loving at all right there. And the atheist is a consumerist because you people don't understand the difference between materialism and being materialistic because words are hard. And of course, you have just no idea how funny that's going to be in a short little while. Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, by that logic, all you have to do is hate any of the others to suddenly make them real. And you seem to have enough hate in you to go around. But for me, since I don't hate any god at all, that makes all of them fake. Thanks, good to know.
But the Bible commands us to train up children in the knowledge and discipline of the Lord.
The book that wants everyone to do what it says tries to make sure that you and your children and your children's children and your children's children's children and yada 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 yada, all of them do what it says. Well, that's a surprise. Seriously, I always wonder what these people would expect it to say, true or not. But this kind of logic is often presented as somehow indicative of its truth value. Hint, it isn't. Seriously, it's like me saying get all your friends and family to subscribe to me and send me money. That will prove how right I am all the time. I mean, it'll be true, just with more subscribers and cash.
And look what I got in the mail today. Axe and Facts magazine for kids.
Okay, quick question. The hell is a magazine? Oh, wait, I remember now. That was that thing. You would doom scroll on your toilet with it, but it wasn't doom scrolling. It was just related to some hobby or something, and yet it wasn't a website. I know, it's very confusing old people shit, like rotary telephones and polio. But yeah, I remember now. Why the hell do you have that? Was I wrong in my assessment that you're not a doddering old fool, but you're actually a burbling infant? Just to much the same effect. Amazing.
Axe and Facts magazine is the best publication in America for presenting scientific evidence that proves the truth of God's Word.
Wait. Is this a frickin' advert? No way. You've got to be kidding me. I told you that characterization of atheists as consumerist was going to be really funny. Here, this guy who would definitely have shared that meme, just out and out selling a magazine to us. I just don't know, man. There's so much beauty in the world. Also, if we ignore the hilariousness of that, we can focus on this man claiming a children's magazine as the best publication for presenting the scientific evidence for God, which is a whole other level of hilarious. Because we have two options. Either he is so intellectually diminished that the best he can understand is something that doesn't have an adult reading level, or that the best scientific evidence can get to for God doing a real is only worthy of being in literature designed for people who have yet to finish their education. I tell a lie, though. It's definitely both. Oh, and this wasn't me shitting on actual kids' science magazines. Those things are generally pretty great, but do you really think that the types of article that you get in Nature are going to be in 101 Fun Science Facts for Kids? Because if you do, Bill, I told you to stop watching my videos. They aren't for you.
Atheists hate Axe and Facts magazine.
Do we? That wasn't in this year's baby-eating and God-hating monthly meeting, or written up in the minutes this week. I'll be honest, I had never even heard of the thing until you brought it up in this video. And frankly, even knowing you apparently like it, although considering the format, I'm feeling that's probably not true, that has no impact on how I would think about it. Because I don't think about it. When this video is over, when it's finished, edited, and uploaded, I will more than likely never think of it again. But even if I did, even if I thought it was the worst thing ever to be written since current book franchise that's popular to rag on, someone else that you presumably don't like hating a thing does not mean that that thing is worth even a second of your time and attention. That's not how being a good thing works. I mean, if it turned out that Bill really did like my videos, that wouldn't make me dislike them. It's my self-loathing and hatred that does that.
Because it destroys their big lie that science has proven the Bible to be wrong.
There's two ways to take that. The way he means and the way he really doesn't want you to know it means. Science doesn't really take much of an interest in the supernatural. Science, by its very nature, only deals in what it can interact with, and that is within the bounds of nature, which the supernatural is very much outside of. So science cannot and probably will never be able to disprove Mr. G-Man. However, there are a bunch of claims in the Bible about how things formed, certain specific events, and all sorts of other stuff that absolutely has been shown to be either overstated, oversimplified, or entirely wrong most of the time, along with many other things like miracles and such that, while leaning toward unfalsifiable, also just don't happen today. And while you could say, well, what if the world worked differently back then? I would say that it's interesting that back then is every second before the invention of photography. and now is any time since. So I think we can safely assume that those things are probably not true either. So the idea that your children's pamphlet can suddenly disprove a bunch of well-established, well-understood science and research seems a little bit unlikely, mate.
This issue for kids teaches them about dinosaurs, plants, bears, and underground aquifers.
Bill, everybody knows that dinosaurs aren't real. People who are far smarter than you have argued that fact on this very channel, and I'm only half joking. Or am I? I mean, they did argue that, and they are smarter than you. All right, well, it's obviously wrong, but does show one of the classic theist tropes. Science is good when I think it doesn't conflict with my Bible boys. So, like with dinosaurs, it would take an unreasonable amount of denial to say they aren't real because of the overwhelming evidence and the fact that they are cool as shit. So better to just pretend that they are totally coolio with my beliefs and not a massive plot hole that God just happened to forget that time he made giant scaly bastards that would have definitely been eating humans, or that they were important enough to make but not important enough to mention. And the fact that their absence in the Bible is just a little bit weird considering all the other things it claims to know about, like, say, the creation of the planet and every animal on it. Which again, presumably would have included frickin' dinosaurs.
That God provides to keep us well supplied with drinking water.
Aquifers are God's answer to potable water, is it? Then it is a really, really bad answer that apparently only human ingenuity was able to fill with actual water purification plants all over the place. And make you wonder why, with said omnipowers, you don't see them spring, get it, up in places suffering water scarcity. And suffering is the word, because death from dehydration is a brutal way to go. So bad that, again, humans have attempted to reach even those places with even further innovation that God just can't be bothered to do for some reason. Although I did once hear that, no, you just don't understand. Starving children or whatever, that's just God shouting at you to do something about it. Which frankly makes me want to hurl. If you communicate via the medium of dying kids, you're a monster. And again, I don't actually hate God. I don't think he's real. But the guy your lot try to tell me is the best person ever is the opposite, if you think about it for even a second. It's basically, I'm going to kill a puppy every minute if you don't donate to Alzheimer's research. And I've already done that research. I just want the money and the praise before I release it. And you took too long. It's been more than a minute since you donated. So blam, TikTok.
The public schools are determined to turn children into little atheists who pursue sinful sexual lifestyles and disrespect authority.
First off, making people aware that gay people exist is not the same thing as trying to make them gay. We all know that's what you mean because, of course, you are a great big homophobe. How could you not be with a hat like that? But the second bit makes literally no freaking sense. They are teaching, using their authority, the kids to disrespect authority. That fails on so many levels because I know for a fact that you think atheism also just means communist Russia-esque ideology, which is utterly authoritarian. But of course, what your real problem is that good schools will at least try to teach critical thinking, and that will make people far less inclined to respect your authority. And that is, of course, the biggest crime of all. I mean, they won't even want a subscription to Stupid Shit for Bible Idiots Monthly or anything. Sad.
The Bible teaches children about marriage and family as designed by God.
You just have no idea how funny the idea that God invented marriage is. I mean, for crap's sake. They had it in Mesopotamia, before anything even remotely Bible-like was being written. And it was most certainly a thing humans would do way before then. In fact, probably way before the book claims any humans existed at all, which is a bit odd. Almost like the Bible is about as scientific as I am skinny. That is to say, not very schmuckelfurts. But it gets worse when you consider that the Bible itself contains many examples of exactly the kinds of marriage that go against the one man, one woman shtick he thinks God so desperately wants. Almost like using the Bible to state what marriage is a fool's errand at best. Your favourite kind of errand, obviously.
And it also teaches children to honor their father and mother. Acts and Facts for Kids solidifies this in the minds of children by boosting their faith in God's Word.
So, what if your parents are atheists? And not like me, where outside of what I do here, people genuinely would have no idea. I mean hardcore atheists. Anti-theists who God not real at the drop of a hat. The kind that you think all atheists are, but kinda don't exist, especially not as parents, because they're far too busy owning theists with facts and logic to have any sex. Or, any religion really. If you, as a child, found Crim's Bobanity and your parents told you to stop, you should, right? Hell, if you're an adult and your parents turned to atheismo, if you were a real Christian, you wouldn't be anymore, right? It's the only biblical choice.
Again I say, children should be protected from atheists.
I don't think kids should necessarily be protected from Christians, because I don't even know what that means. I mean, maybe you, but you're a massive garbage person. But I just think that kids should be taught how to tell fact from fiction. And that's basically it. And you know what? If that led every last one of them to Christianity, I'm cool with that. Because as far as I'm concerned, that would be the system working. If they are able to do that, and they've truly discerned that it was true, there's a good chance that it is. But you don't want them to be taught that. Because you know in your tiny little atrophied heart of hearts that any child that understands how to assess the factuality of a claim is going to know that you're full of shit. I wonder why that is.
So do your kids a favor and go to the Institute for Christian Research, ICR.org, and get your free subscription to Acts and Facts for adults and Acts and Facts for kids.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. He's not getting paid for this. Probably. I mean, he might be. Donations are a thing. But at least the subscription doesn't cost you any money. But it will cost you your immortal soul. And that could be worth almost $5. And screw that. That's almost a shot of whiskey in this economy. Send it to me. Bye!